I will stop talking about bullying as soon as everybody in every community can rally together and say things have got to change. In Greenfield, that's exactly what happened. If you're in the Greenfield area and you saw a rally happening, then you know what I'm talking about. The rally you're about to see tonight could push for more changes to end bullying and have police officers telling parents to talk to their kids. Take a look.
No more bullying
was the message echoed by 12-year-old Maxwell Foltz. He joined dozens of students and parents in Greenfield Central Schools who rallied Saturday outside the Hancock County Courthouse.
We've had bullying issues that were handled by the school really well. We've also had incidents that just continue from the same kids over and over again, but we want that to not be a problem.
The anti-bullying push comes after Greenfield police urged parents to talk to their kids and as the department investigates the death of a 10-year-old Greenfield intermediate student.
I never realized how far bullying could go. The tragedy that happened, and then it kind of hit me.
Maxwell tells me he was a friend of that fourth grader.
I always got super happy when I saw him in the hallway when he was coming down from a break or something from the office. We would run down the hallway and we would give the biggest high fives.
And as he and the community mourn, they're also pushing for change.
We understand that the policy has a very clear definition of bullying, and we feel like even with that definition, kids are falling through the cracks. We need everyone to be heard.
Parents are calling on other Hoosiers who've helped pass previous anti-bullying laws.
The schools are supposed to be reporting anti-bullying. As someone that got the law, I wish I could have done more. There's a lot of things that still need to be done.
While students send a message to their peers who may be dealing with bullying.
I've been bullied in my life. I know how it feels, so it's good to fight. Don't be scared. They bully you, lay a hand on you, go to an adult.
Maybe this one message will bring maybe just a little bit of peace back to this world.
Naja Woods, WRTV.
Greenfield Community School Superintendent says the district has not received an official cause of death for the student. However, they have received a tremendous amount of support to meet social and emotional needs of students.
Social emotional needs. Look, we have counselors, we got principals. We have principals, superintendents, and counselors. Counselors are great to talk to people, but with principals and superintendents, they simply just wash their hands in and say, we do not have a bullying problem. They look at you straight in the face and go, we don't have a bullying problem. If you're going to think about transferring to a new school, this is the question you need to ask. Do y'all have a bullying problem? If they look at you dead in the eye and say, no, you do not, then don't believe them. Look at every single headline. Do your research. Do your homework beforehand. If you're going to transfer to a new school, do your homework. Don't just look at a school and go, okay, that'd be a good place for him. No. Look at that school, then read an article or talk to a neighbor. Look and see where it came from. If it's here in Corpus, if it's here in this place. Like with Jason Aldean trying to end the small town controversy. Nobody did their homework. Everyone's all like, oh, that happened. It's happening in Greenfield, and now everyone's pushing for a change. Let's look at the comments section. It's critical, yes, but absolutely relevant and curious. When did this happen? How did this poor baby pass away? How is it known that his passing away was the result of bullying? The support is sorely lacking. It happened almost a week ago. A child committed suicide, and the cause of death was unknown because of bullying. Remember Adriana Kirch? It was very similar to the story. They didn't let the administration let them know till 3 days after. That's why tougher regulations are going to be pushed through. Laws need to be created. The law needs to change to where bullies receive punishment, and parents need to sit down and talk I mean, the bullies and the bullies' parents and the victims' parents need to sit down and talk to each other and say, hey, you need to stop this. And believe me, the world that we live in today is to where everybody has the right to be on their high horse. This is not Mean Girls where they say, oh, I'm better than you, or my cookie's better than yours. Get off of your high horse. Get off your high horse. You are a punk. The ones who are bullies, you're a punk. And the parents allowing these people to pick on the other kids, you guys are punks as well for not talking to your child. And victims, and the spotlight will be back on victims. Here's what you need to do. Talk to your kids and say this is unacceptable behavior. Criminal charges are going to be filed. And even then we'll know. We'll know what's going on. Coming up, the top 10 myths, lies, and downright stupidity that you at home ever need to know. From cold to even the guns. And even saving money. John Stossel with the top 10 myths, lies, and downright stupidity. Stay with us. Could there be a myth? Could it be stupidity? Or could it be just a plain old lie? Tonight, in a Give Me a Break first, we are looking at the top 10 myths, lies, and downright stupidity. It's going to be the first installment in the Give Me a Break myth-busting series. It's hot out there, and the truth is, I can just wear a long sleeve shirt on the hot, and no one could say anything. I mean, I can just wear short sleeves. I can just not go on that cold without a jacket, and I would be okay. I did that before. I never got sick. When we were kids, we had to watch those dumb health movies and realizing a myth that getting cold would give you a cold. Could it be true? Here's John Stossel.
Wet clothing after exposure to...
That said, getting cold will give you a cold.
Wearing wet clothing after exposure to bad weather conditions. Or cooling off too quickly when overheated.
You get a cold by coming out with no jacket and the cold weather. That's how you get a cold.
That's what my mother always told me.
When the blizzard happens, my grandma, she's like, you're gonna catch the flu if you get too cold.
So when they go outside...
It's like I'm prepared to go to war when she gets me all dressed up with that stuff. It's like I have to wear 3 coats and 3 pairs of pants. It's insane.
1, 2, 3, skins! So what happens when you do this? These guys are playing skins against shirts on a 40-degree day.
I'm freezing.
It's terrible being this cold. My mom's gonna be pissed.
Now, does anybody feel a cold coming on today?
I got a little runny nose.
Well, that's probably from being out in the cold weather, but it doesn't mean that you're going to get a cold.
Public health expert Dr. Mark Callahan explained being cold has nothing to do with getting a cold.
Yeah, I'm wondering if like the cold maybe like drops down your immune system.
No, it doesn't work that way. Just because you're cold and it's cold outside doesn't lower your immune system. Yeah! Running around outside in the cold won't give you a cold. You have to get exposed to a virus, pick it up, and then you'll get a cold.
I learned about this myth years ago when 2020 sent me to a cold part of England. Scientists here found that dropping cold viruses into people's noses often made them sick, but getting them cold and wet made no difference. Here at the cold unit, they had people walk outside in the winter rain and then sit in these unheated rooms in various stages of undress. And those chilled people got no more colds than did anyone else. Which helps explain the Polar Bear Club.
I don't know, but I've been told. I don't know, but I've been told. Polar bears just don't catch cold.
All over America, there are these groups of lunatics.
Everybody in the water.
I mean, happy people who voluntarily swim in the winter. This group at Coney Island does it every Sunday, even when the temperature's below freezing.
Why do you do this? Because I like it. It's very healthy. Make you feel strong. Dirty face, you're overdressed, buddy. Come on, slim down there. Shed that coat.
I'm cold out here. Aren't you going to get sick?
No, we don't get cold.
All over America, 1 million mothers are telling their kids, don't go outside without a coat, you'll get sick.
I guess 1 million mothers are wrong.
The polar bears are one of the few groups that are in the know.
It's an old wives' tale?
My wife got sick. I didn't get sick.
A cold is caused by a virus, it's not caused by temperature.
Right, and people get more colds in the winter only because we spend more time indoors then. Passing the virus back and forth because we're closer to each other. Being cold has nothing to do with it.
We're the healthiest people we know.
I think it's time for another dip. Come on, let's go.
It's time for another dip. I don't know what I've been told. Y'all need some common sense. You definitely do need some common sense. Don't go out in the cold without a jacket. I mean, it's a myth. It's really a myth. It's really a myth to where, I mean, years ago I went out without a jacket. I went in the cold with some flip-flops on. I turned out okay. Even then, our moms had to tell us, don't you dare go outside without a coat. You're gonna freeze your ass off. That's what my mama told me. I mean, heck, I even walked 35 minutes in the cold one day, walked to McDonald's to get something to eat. I turned out okay. Tell your parents that that's a myth. If you tell your parents it's a myth, maybe then they'll believe you. Tell your grannies, hey granny, remember years ago when you told me to wear a jacket because it'll get... Remember years ago you told me to get a jacket, but I don't wear a jacket, it'll get cold? That's a myth. Your granny would not have a heart attack. Which is not funny. I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it. I really do not recommend that people ever go out in the cold without a jacket. I don't recommend that at all. More Mythbusters when we come back, especially all about the free time, happiness, and guns. Call a friend. You don't want to miss these myths. Stay with us. In almost 10 years of being on YouTube, I've done a lot of things. I've always had a lot of free time, to just make some videos, put them up on YouTube. I got a lot of time to go work. I work 4 hours a day, 4 days a week. I work a couple hours of performing. And then I spend a good hour, and I spend a good hour and a half getting everything done. Getting this filmed and getting this uploaded. Which brings us to myth number 9. That today, we Americans have less free time. Could it be true? We all have free time in our lives. I mean, we have free time with the kids. I mean, don't we have a right to have free time to ourselves?
It is a given these days. Everyone knows it. Families are overscheduled.
Countless news stories tell us we're running ourselves ragged. Everyone knows that's true. Americans have no free time. We're rushing to work, shop, clean.
I only have time to study and work. That's about it.
There's never free time. Everybody's constantly busy.
How many hours a week of free time you think you have?
I'll say 7 hours.
Okay, is that it? Come on.
Sherry Kowalski is busy. A working mom, she's constantly rushing to get everything done.
I need to go to Toys R Us. I need to go to the bank, the post office.
She has 2 kids.
Come on, come on. Look up!
And a husband who helps.
Good morning.
But she still seems frantic. She leaves the French toast, do some laundry.
Oh, God. French toast, burning. Strip the beds. Keeping up this pace is just absolutely exhausting.
List and draw 3 more measuring tools in your home.
It just seems that I am constantly doing laundry.
Alexa, honey, I'm going this way.
All her meals were eaten standing up. And everyone we interviewed that day said they were terribly pressed for time. So how much free time do you have?
I don't really have any free time, actually.
No free time? It makes me want to seek out some real data on this. Has anyone tried to measure how much time we have? Well, this man has. Since 1965, University of Maryland sociologist John Robinson has had people keep time diaries so he could calculate how much free time people really have. I assume since 1965 we've lost free time.
It's not the case.
Surprisingly, since 1965, we've gained almost an hour more free time per day.
There is a discrepancy between what people say and what they report when they keep a time diary.
Sure enough, when Sherry and some of the other people we met at the mall kept Robinson's time diaries, what they wrote down didn't always match what they'd said. Sherry had twice as much free time as she'd estimated. She finds time to exercise every day, and she often goes to a tanning salon. She also watches some TV. This is the #1 free time activity in America. Paul White told us he watched 10 hours a week, but then he filled out the diary. On the diary, it was 36 hours.
I had a day off that week.
The diaries show most Americans underestimate how much free time we have. And we have more time now, say the experts, because we're working fewer hours, marrying later, having fewer kids, and retiring earlier. And of course, we have better tools. This gives us an easier lifestyle. We tend to forget about the hardships of the past, like washing clothing by hand.
50 years ago, the average woman was spending 60 to 70 hours a week doing housework.
Economist Steve Moore is co-author of It's Getting Better All the Time.
This idea that we work harder today than our ancestors worked is pure nonsense. We have more time for leisure and recreation and watching football on Sunday afternoons and going to our kids' child soccer games than our ancestors ever did.
Sherry doesn't believe it.
I have less time to spend with my kids. My mother was home and she was always there for us.
Women say their parents had time to spend with the kids. I don't.
Actually, we find the opposite. Parents today, we find, are spending more time with their children.
And we noticed that no matter what Sherry felt, she did spend a lot of time with her kids. It is hard to explain that if we're so stressed for free time, who are the 36 million people who golf, the 65 million who go camping, and the millions who go to the beach, the movies, and sporting events?
Touchdown! One of the reasons that Americans feel so pressed for time is there's so much more to do in life today. We spend more money just on things like toys and sporting equipment than the entire economies of most countries in the world today.
Which brings us to myth number 8. American families need 2 incomes. One for paying rent and probably one for the kids. Take a look.
It's been saving. They have to. Number 8. Spending all that money brings us to myth number 8. American families need 2 incomes to get by. Both husband and wife have to work. Well, some do. And it's the reason Sherry and her husband say they both work. This is what many of us think life used to be like. Mom was home all the time because Dad's income alone provided for the family.
June, I'm leaving.
But now we keep hearing,
families can't afford to have one parent stay home.
Definitely need a 2-income family.
Sherry gets up at 4 in the morning because she took a job.
The hardest thing about getting up is just missing my sleep. I get so exhausted and aggravated with everybody.
She delivers 200 newspapers every morning.
If I didn't have this job, financially we wouldn't make it.
She also sells things on eBay.
That's great. Somebody is trying to break into my eBay account. Goodbye.
Her husband works as a lab technician, but it's not enough money, they say.
These people.
Sherry hates her paper route.
Before I had this job, I was happy. I wasn't so crabby with everybody. Now it just seems like every little thing just gets to me.
But does she need this job? Contrary to what we always hear, Americans make more money these days. The U.S. Department of Commerce reports that after accounting for inflation, personal disposable income has tripled over the past 50 years. And Sherry's husband makes an above-average income.
You don't need to have this paper out.
Financially, we do. We needed a bigger car.
You can't put 2 kids in the Ford Escort?
We did. It was very cramped.
The Kowalskis not only have the Escort and a pickup truck, they also bought this new, fully loaded minivan.
Do you need the 3-car?
Go ahead, I think you can.
You wanted the truck. You wanted the truck.
One of the reasons families feel like they can't get by on one income is because we want more things.
I wanted the better van. I didn't want the van with the cloth seats and the no entertainment system. Everybody wants more.
A lot more. 50 years ago, the average family in the United States had 1 car. Today, the norm is 2 or 3. Houses have more than doubled in square footage. And shoppers keep spending.
I wanted one pair of shoes. I wound up with 4. So I like the fact that I didn't have to make the choice between the 1 or the 4. I could have all 4.
Most families don't have to have both parents working. They do this by choice. People have decided they want to maintain a very high income lifestyle on 2 incomes to have all the things to keep up with the Joneses.
You don't need all that stuff, but we want it. Just like when we had regular TV, 13 channels. Now we have cable, we have 100, 200, 300 channels. We're spoiled. The cable goes out, we're all crying. Because we don't have all these channels.
Of course, we all want those things.
Because we don't have all these channels.
There's a big difference between need and want. I need to go to the grocery store. It's like you need to get something to survive. I need a video game. You don't need it, you want it. It's always the I needs.
That's myth number 7.
Not the I wants. That brings us to myth number 7. Money buys happiness. Is it really? Could money make you happy? Even when you perform it for tips, it can make you very happy. Take a look.
We have our first woman as a millionaire.
This woman, who just won $1 million, certainly looks happy. The culture keeps telling us money buys happiness.
This is the story of the next millionaire.
On reality shows, the pretty girls line up hoping to marry the rich guy. And watching rich people, it looks as if money bought happiness. But in fact, this woman says she was very happy only for several days. Then the thrill wore off.
Look at all the billionaires. If I know 15 billion, I know 13 unhappy people.
Hip-hop promoter Russell Simmons and his brother, the Reverend Ron, are rich. MTV did half a TV show just on Simmons' house. He's chairman of a record company, a fashion company. He travels with the black tie crowd.
More money, 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 more.
His brother, Reverend Ron, was the lead rapper for Run DMC. He said he suddenly realized money wouldn't buy happiness when he was at the peak of his career.
I get to LA, and I got the presidential suite, and it all came at once. Everybody's at my door. Rolling Stone magazine doing a cover of Rolling Stone. My favorite dude was bringing my pancakes. The weed dude was at the door. The Rolls Royce is coming, and it was too much. I realized, okay, I got it, God. I got it. This will not work. It's not going to make me happy. And I changed at that moment. I began to evolve. So I'm happy that God let me max out very early. So now I can live the rest of my life laughing and being happy that that's not going to make me happy. The only thing that's going to make me happy is the joy that's on the inside of me.
His brother says a lot of the rich artists he knows haven't figured that out.
There's a constant battle to get more because there's a little bit of a rush. They're like drug addicts.
So these 13 billionaires need help?
They're cakeaholics. Cakeaholics. Cake meaning money. They got to keep having it. And it never brings happiness.
I'm still stuck in this idea that if I make a little more money, ABC pays me a little more my next contract.
ABC can pay you anything they want. You're going to be the same person. You'll return to the same level of happiness that you're at today.
Research suggests he's right. A survey of 49 of the Forbes richest found they weren't any happier than the rest of us. Billions didn't do it.
People think it can buy happiness.
It can't.
Gene Chatsky of Money Magazine polled 1,500 people for this new book, and found that more money makes people significantly happier only if their family income is below $30,000. But by $50,000, money makes no difference.
Once you get to that $50,000 level, more money doesn't buy more happiness.
How come almost nobody gets this? People keep trying to get more stuff.
Stuff is fun, but not necessary. And certainly not for your happiness.
You used to act like you thought money would buy you happiness.
Hell yeah, I had Rolls Royces, everything. Everything, the next thing, the next everything. My first Rolls Royce was a white, bulletproof, silver Spirit. And he used to have these curtains. Used to open them up, wave, and the girls would be like, oh my God, you're a young guy, you know, hip hop guy. It was great. It didn't mean anything. It was never really a source of happiness at all. The source of happiness is getting out the car and going upstairs to that little office I had and working. Managing the artists, bringing people out of poverty, bringing people, opportunity, changing their lives.
Happiness researchers agree. Purposeful work is what makes people happy, and finding religion and family.
It's whether you have a job that you like and that gives you some satisfaction. It's whether you're giving back.
I just want to thank all of you for the hard work. Giving is the basis of all success. You give someone a hug, then they'll hug you back. If you want to make money, help someone make money. It's all that process. But you have to do first give before you get. And the giving is the part that's fun.
And it's all fun. All right, coming up next, we're going to go to myth number 6. So we're at... All right, so we have about 3 down and 5 to go. There you go on this one. Coming up next, we're going to go to myth number 6 and 5, all about Republicans and our taxes. Stay with us. This year is going to be election year, which brings us to myth number 6. Republicans shrink the government.
Big government is not the answer.
Republicans do say they'll limit spending.
My administration will spend what is truly needed, and not a dollar more.
Republicans have always said that.
Our government is too big, and it spends too much.
But for over 75 years, no Republican administration has cut the size of government. Since George W. Bush became president, government spending's up nearly 25%. And it's not just because of terrorism. The Office of Management and Budget says spending at the EPA is up 12%, agriculture 14%, interior 30%, labor 64%, the Department of Education 70%. And the pork keeps pouring out. Even the Peanut Festival in Dothan, Alabama got $200,000.
And this was great, isn't it? A celebration of the peanut.
The money will be used for a big arena to replace this tent. It'll house activities for seniors, they say. And there'll be room for a greased pig wrestling contest. Republican Congressman Terry Everett, here he is in the Peanut Parade, got them the money. He wouldn't talk to us about it, but the locals said they'd like getting your money.
We deserve this money because we're our agricultural area.
But I think this man's answer is more accurate.
I think it's a waste of money, but if they're going to waste money, I guess it's better to waste it here than anywhere else. How y'all doing? We're doing good. How about yourself?
We fought a war against big government, and you know what? Big government won.
Economist Stephen Moore is a Republican.
It was Newt Gingrich 10 years ago who said we're going to make government smaller and smarter.
We're tired of big government, wasteful spending.
And you look at what's happened to the government in the 10 years since the Republicans took control of Congress, the government is twice as big.
You Republicans are supposed to stand for smaller government.
Lisa Murkowski is one of Alaska's senators.
We want smaller government, but boy, I sure want more highways and more stuff, whatever the stuff is.
I'll say she voted for money for the Iditarod Trail, a local Y, and more than half a dozen Alaskan museums.
This is 67 pages of, I'd call it pork, going to Alaska. And you...
Oh, you need to come up. You would realize it's not pork, it's all necessity.
Alaska gets more per person than any other state. That's big government getting bloated. Oink.
Because Alaska has so little. People look at Alaska and say, well, geez, they're getting all this money, but we still have communities that are not tied into sewer and water. There are certain basic things that you've got to have.
Museums? Pay for your own museums.
Well, I'd like to be able to make a case that our museum is different. But I can't.
We're on to item number 5, and we've all heard this one during the presidential campaign. When it comes to income taxes, the rich don't pay their fair share. A lot of you made by that.
That's a good one, because it's all like, it's like everyone get on their high horse. I'm richer than you are. No, I'm richer than you are. No, I'm rich. You want to go? Let's go, buddy boy. You're a share, boy. I'm not sharing shit. Give me your money. Okay. Here's your money.
And now I have a special message for the special interests.
The Democratic presidential candidates keep saying that.
We want our country back for ordinary Americans.
The first one willing to say it to me was the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The rich do not pay their share.
That's a widespread belief. But do the politicians even know how much of the income tax burden the rich pay now?
The top 1% in this country pays very much less than 10%. Very much less than 5%.
So what's fair? The top 1% should pay 10% of America's income taxes? 20%?
They should pay somewhere around 15%. They don't pay 5%. Anybody could see that as unequal and unfair.
So they should pay 15%, he says. And the richest 1% now pay less than 10%. Then he said less than 5%. But that's so silly because, and I bet most of you don't know this, the IRS says the richest 1% of taxpayers already pay 34%. Twice what Sharpton wanted them to pay. The Reverend barely reacted when I told him. They're already paying 34%.
No, I think that if you deal with the quality of their lives.
He quickly changed the subject. He never would admit how far off he was. Now you may still feel the rich should pay more. After all, they have so much. But let's remember the facts. The top 1% of Americans, that's those who earn about $300,000 a year, pay 34%, more than a third of all income taxes. And the top 5%, those making over $125,000, pay more than half. So remember that next time you hear a candidate saying he'll sock it to the rich. In a moment, myth number 4. This one turns out to be deadly.
All right. Five down, we got 5 more to go. Coming up, myth number 4. And it's deadly. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Give Me a Break countdown of myths, lies, and downright stupidity. Now we're on to myth number 4. Chemicals are killing us. Of course, we know some chemicals are harmful and they may kill us, but quietly and secretly. There's chemicals everywhere that might even kill people.
This song from 1989 sums it up. Americans' fear of chemicals has caused us to obsess about breathing and hair dye, dry cleaning, coffee, children's pajamas, chewing gum, saccharin, NutraSweet, food additives, even rubber duckies. There's no proof that the small amounts of the chemicals in those products have harmed anyone. The death rate from cancers has actually been declining in America. But our fear is contagious, and that can be deadly.
We are losing between 2 million and 3 million people per year.
The health minister of Uganda points out that these people may die because of the chemical DDT. But not because DDT is bad, but because Americans' fear of it has deprived much of the world of the chemical that might have saved them. How did this happen? Well, 50 years ago, Americans sprayed tons of DDT everywhere. Farmers used it to repel bugs, and health officials to fight mosquitoes that carry malaria. Nobody worried much about chemicals then. People really did just sit there and eat in clouds of DDT. When the trucks came to spray, people often acted as if the ice cream truck had come. They were so happy to have mosquitoes repelled. Huge amounts of DDT were sprayed on food and people who just breathed it in. And amazingly, there's no evidence that all this spraying hurt people. It did cause some harm, however. It threatened bird populations by thinning their eggshells. And this book made the damage famous and helped create our fear of chemicals.
But it's the dose that matters, because chemicals are everywhere. They're in vegetables, and vegetables are good for us. Did you know there's something in celery called 8-methoxysorolin that's carcinogenic in rodents? There's something in broccoli that's carcinogenic too, but it doesn't matter because it's the dose that makes the poison.
Dose was the reason for the DDT problems. We sprayed so much. But it only takes this amount to prevent the spread of malaria. It's sprayed on walls, and one spraying will keep mosquitoes at bay for half a year. It's a very efficient malaria fight. But today, DDT is rarely used. America's demonization of it caused others to shun it. The U.S. government does spend your tax dollars fighting malaria in Africa, but it will not spend a penny on DDT.
It is an extraordinarily delicate and political thing to use in another country, something we won't use in our own country.
DDT was banned in America after we started celebrating Earth Day. Environmentalists made a lot of claims then.
You are breathing probably the last of the oxygen.
Soon after that came the campaign against DDT. The result? A huge resurgence of malaria. More than 50 million dead, mostly children.
If it's a chemical, it must be bad. If it's DDT, it must be awful. And that's fine if you're a rich, white environmentalist. It's not so fine if you're a poor black kid who's about to lose his life from malaria.
Amir Adaran is leading a campaign of hundreds of scientists urging the use of DDT to combat malaria. It's needed especially in Africa, he says, because there malaria kills thousands every day.
How many people do they want us to lose before we use DDT?
The United States government fights malaria by funding drugs that the government's own website admits fail up to 80% of the time. And bed nets, though not everyone in Africa even has a bed. But we will not fund DDT. Even the USAID acknowledges it's safe to use.
I would recommend that if those who want to use the indoor spraying, that they can and should. And it is definitely less harmful than dying and being exposed to malaria.
You won't pay for it.
Currently, we don't pay for it.
This is pathetic. Millions of people are dying, and you, to be politically correct, are saying, oh no, we don't want to pay for DDT.
I believe that the strategies we are using are as effective as the spraying with DDT, and we are getting them out as far and as fast as we can. So, politically correct or not, I am very confident that what we are doing is the right strategy.
If I were to characterize what USAID does on malaria, I'd call it medical malpractice. I would call it murderous.
Because of hysteria about chemicals in America, much of the world won't use DDT. And by the time this TV show is over, malaria will have killed another 100 children.
And another 100 children they will kill. Now we're on to myth number 3. And this is the one we talked about. Throughout the 7 years we focused, remember a couple seasons ago, we talked about guns in America. A day in the life. Talking about guns and children. Now there's a new myth, which means this is myth number 3. Guns are bad. A lot of people may say this, that guns don't kill people, the government does. Guns don't kill people, cops kill people. Guns have been around since 1000 AD. And like people are saying, you should not take guns to school with you, they're dangerous. A guy breaks into your house, You don't have a gun. How are you going to shoot him? The NRA is a Washington, D.C. based organization. If you tell me you support Washington, D.C., then that's a thinker. Wow. But with these school shootings, like, we need to push more gun laws. You make a school shooting happen, you make a new law. But here in Texas, we have the right to defend ourselves. We have the right to carry a gun. Most other states don't have that.
We have 15 fatalities.
America is notorious for its culture of gun violence.
One more addition to the litany of gun tragedy.
Not to mention all the gun accidents. We know many kill kids. The PSAs and news stories make it seem as if the accidents kill thousands of kids every year.
Bang, 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 bang.
But the Centers for Disease Control says the real number for kids this age is fewer than 50. That's still terrible. I understand why these demonstrators say we need more gun laws.
We want sensible gun control legislation. We are the voice of the majority of Americans. It is time we were heard.
And the media seem to want gun control.
Why is it so hard for Congress to pass a gun control bill?
But guess what? The Centers for Disease Control recently completed a review of studies of various types of gun control, waiting periods, registration and licensing, and bans on certain firearms. It could not document that these rules have reduced violent crime. How can this be? Signing the Brady Bill into law didn't help?
Don't tell me this bill will not make a difference. That is not true.
Sorry, the government can't say it has made a difference. One reason is that the bad guys tend to ignore gun laws.
When I had a gun, I didn't care what laws they had. I'm not worried about the government saying that I can't carry a gun. I'm going to carry a gun anyway.
These maximum security felons in New Jersey scoff at measures like the Brady Law.
I'm not going in the store to buy no gun, so I could care less if they had a background check or not.
I bought it from the street, from a source. There's guns everywhere. If you got money, you can get a gun.
A study funded by the Department of Justice confirmed what these prisoners said. Most criminals buy their guns illegally and easily. And get this, the study said the felons say the thing they fear most is not the police, not time in prison, but you, another American who might be armed.
When you go to rob somebody you don't know, it makes it harder because you don't know what to expect out of it.
It's a reason many states are passing gun uncontrol. They're allowing citizens to carry guns with them. It's called concealed carry or right to carry, and it comforts women like Laura Jones.
It's a safety thing. I feel better knowing I have a way to protect myself.
But many people are horrified at the idea of right to carry laws.
That is frightening. Can you imagine just walking up and down the street knowing that 90% of the people you pass has a deadly weapon and you could be their next target? I think that we'd be living in a state of terror.
But, surprise, 36 states already have right to carry laws. And people in these states are not living in terror. We called state safety officials in all these states, and not one reported an upsurge in crime. Why? Well, maybe because guns are used twice or 3 times as often for defensive uses as they are to commit crimes. That's what happened at this car dealership. The owner had a gun, so when these 2 armed men came in to rob him, he shot it, and they ran. Studies on defensive use of guns find this kind of thing happens at least 700,000 times a year.
I just reacted. It was a life or death thing, and I think you react.
Armed men broke into Susan Gonzalez's house and shot her. She grabbed her husband's gun and started firing.
I figured if I could shoot one of them, even if we both died, someone would know who had been in my home.
She killed one of the intruders. The other ran away.
I don't necessarily like guns still, but I carry one because I know now what can happen and why you do need a gun.
On to myth number 2. We're drowning in garbage.
And that's why you need guns to protect yourself. Again, we have all these states. Every state has the open carry bill to where you are allowed to just carry a gun with you for self-defense. I mean, you can even carry a can of pepper spray to defend yourself. I mean, spray in the eyes, you shoot blindly. but laws make it tougher. Texas has open carry. You just go in and get a gun, and then you don't need a license. I love Texas. Welcome to Texas, where it's legal to spank, and you have the right to carry. On to myth number 2. We are drowning in garbage. Yeah, we're drowning in garbage. Our filth. Moist, sticky, smelly, nasty garbage. We're drowning in garbage. Take a look.
We do produce a lot of it.
Americans discard more trash than any other country in the world. There's no place left to put all the garbage.
That's what we've been told. Do you worry that we'll run out of places to put the trash?
Yes.
But this too is a myth, one that analysts say On to myth number 2. We're drowning in garbage, our own household garbage. You believe that? You worried that no place that will run out? But this too is a myth, one that analysts say was jump-started by this barge.
It's cargo nobody wants. These 3,000 tons of compacted trash and garbage on a barge on the Mississippi River.
The barge was filled with New York trash being shipped to a landfill in Louisiana. But on the way, the shipper tried to save money by dumping his trash in North Carolina. Suspicious local officials said no thanks, and that got so much publicity that by the time the barge reached its original destination, the Louisiana dump wouldn't accept it anymore. That brought more publicity.
The garbage is just sitting there while its owners look for a place to dump it.
Interviews with the tugboat captain suggested a national crisis.
The greatest country on earth, and we can't straighten out a little thing like this. What's going to happen if we ever get in trouble?
Mom, Dad, we need to start recycling because we save our planet.
Nothing gets thrown away. Recycle your trash!
The publicity over the barge ignited 10 years of activism.
We are now approaching an emergency situation.
But it wasn't true.
We're not drowning in garbage.
The EPA says while some cities have to ship garbage out, overall landfill capacity is actually increasing. All around America, people are building bigger landfills. Some landfill owners compete for our trash.
Some of our members are actually looking for ways to be disposed of.
Some put parks and golf courses on top of it.
In the United States, there's plenty of land to properly dispose of our solid waste for thousands of years.
We hardly have a garbage crisis.
Hardly. You hardly have our garbage crisis. I mean, again, talk show with a microphone and some cards at hand. Let's bring out this expert right here. This expert, come on out. Another expert, come on out. Then the audience will get a chance to say whatever they want. I mean, what do you think about drowning in garbage? And then we cut to break. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. That's how it would be. But if we're drowning in filth, then we're drowning in filth. I mean, it's our own garbage. We have a right to just throw whatever we want. Our last myth is coming up. And even then, it's all a question. Is life getting worse? Stay with us. And finally, myth number 1. Life is getting worse. We've all heard it. I mean, life is getting worse. We live a life to where, I don't know how to say it. John's going to explain.
Suddenly, SARS is everywhere.
I see why people think life is getting worse.
Child abduction, mugging, murder on the highway. Do you watch TV news programs?
Yes, a lot.
Do they make you feel safe?
No.
They keep saying stuff like, a kid got kidnapped or something, and they start telling you everything bad.
These kids were worried about being kidnapped.
Kidnapped?
Kidnapping? Anyone could just grab me at any time.
A lot more kids have been kidnapped.
They'd watched all that TV coverage about kidnapping and other crimes. So they thought crime was up.
Now they have all these high-tech guns and stuff.
How sad that they're scared when they're safer than ever. The crime rate's close to the lowest it's been in 15 years, and a Justice Department study showed no increase in kidnapping.
These are the safest times ever to have lived on the earth, and America is the safest place to have ever lived.
Steve Moore says people forget what life used to be like.
The truth is, the good old days weren't so good. Life was nasty, brutish, and short.
These 100-year-olds have no doubt about that.
Life is better today?
By all means.
Life is easier. In those years, you didn't have nothing. Now, with all the medicine, I could really be alive.
Modern medical care, another thing we take for granted.
They're giving medication today that's keeping me going.
The average American today lives 30 years longer than the average American 100 years ago.
Today we worry about SARS, but SARS hasn't killed a single person in America. Fewer than 1,000 have died worldwide. Compare that to the flu epidemic of 1918, which killed 20 million people.
A lot of people died.
My cousin Bobby got flu and never recovered.
Diphtheria was a very important.
Diphtheria.
Today's kids haven't even heard of many mass killers.
You ever hear of diphtheria?
Nope.
You ever hear of rheumatic fever?
None of those diseases things.
We have conquered the killer diseases that wiped out as many as a third to a quarter of the population in previous times.
And today we complain about work.
I get so exhausted and aggravated with everybody.
We forget that in the old days, most Americans worked on the farm.
These are hard times.
We romanticize farms, but
the truth is, life on the farm 75 to 100 years ago wasn't so wonderful. In fact, one of the reasons people left the farms was because their lives were so tough, and it was back-breaking toil.
Mines were worse, and life in factories wasn't much better.
The kind of work we do today is so much more interesting.
We do still have poverty, people lining up at food banks. But in recent years, what Americans call poverty has changed.
Are you poor?
Sure, I'm poor.
Do you have an apartment?
Yeah, right here in the complex. Color TV, it works.
Have a microwave oven?
Yeah, microwave. Yeah.
Have cable?
Cable, the normal things.
We're making progress for every segment of our society.
And finally,
I think I'm most concerned about pollution and things in the air.
We worry a lot about pollution. We obsess about pollution from cars, but think about it.
The emissions from automobiles today are nothing like the kind of pollution that came out of horses. The manure that would get into the water and into the streets would make our cities truly foul.
And even with new sources of air pollution, the air is getting cleaner.
You go back 50 years ago, many American cities had permanent black fogs over them.
Since then, every major air pollutant is down dramatically, and lakes and rivers are cleaner too.
What is that smell? That's East River.
People still joke about the rivers that surround my home. The East and Hudson rivers were once disgusting. After all, millions of people live here, and when they flushed,
Oh, man.
all of it went directly, untreated, to the rivers.
There's fecal matter floating on the water. It's flowing out of here. There's a scum all over this inlet going out to the river.
But now, treatment plants clean the sewage, so the rivers around Manhattan are 98% cleaner than 30 years ago.
Even here, within sight of the Empire State Building, within a short distance of millions of people flushing, I'm willing to do this.
I stayed in the water for a while. Didn't see anything horrible.
Would you ever jump in the Hudson River?
No. There's like no fish there because it's so dirty. They like all died.
Nonsense. There are plenty of fish, and people eat them.
Oh, it's cold. And they do fish, on average, 2 bodies out of the river every year. But it is clean enough that it's now legal to swim here.
Every generation has always felt like things are getting worse rather than getting better, when in fact every objective standard of life on Earth and safety and health is showing much improvement. We should feel so lucky to be alive today.
And we're all lucky to be alive today. I mean, would I ever jump in Lake Corpus Christi? I'm going to jump in Lake Corpus Christi for our first Gear Rig segment. I mean, heck, I didn't even jump in the new Parker pool. Even people would just live their lives jumping into pools. And even then, life may be worse or maybe get better depending on how well we do. Well, that's it for the top 10 lists. There's more to come about the myths, lies, stupidity, and we're gonna have a few probably in our next season, or sometime in the near future. And if you have a myth that you like to talk about, I want to hear your myths, and we will talk about them on our next broadcast. And it'll also be posted on our newsletter at givemeabreak.substack.com. We'll be right back. If you love eating at Red Lobster, you will probably love their cheddar biscuits, or their shrimp, or their lobster. Sad news is coming that all 99 Red Lobster restaurants across the U.S. Red Lobster announced it's closing 99 restaurants in the U.S. unless some companies said the endless shrimp deal would become the permanent fixture on the menu. And which triggered an $11 million loss. And everyone's like eating the shrimp. Here's Les Trent.
I've had 24 shrimp. I've had 24 shrimp. I ate 51 shrimp. I ate 50 shrimp.
Has the Red Lobster restaurant chain eaten itself into bankruptcy by offering its famous endless shrimp deal?
Red Lobster's endless shrimp is kind of a big deal.
Social media users turned the all-you-can-eat shrimp offer into a food challenge.
Let's go.
This guy's chowing down plate after plate.
We got orders 30 and 31.
That's 31 plates filled with shrimp, including the shrimp linguine Alfredo and coconut shrimp.
Definitely getting more of these.
These ladies are also taking the challenge.
My goal is to eat 65 shrimps tonight, 25 shrimps tonight, 45 shrimps tonight.
Now, without warning, Red Lobster has announced it's closing 99 restaurants across the USA, all because the popular chain apparently bit off more than it could chew. Last summer, the company announced the endless shrimp deal as a permanent fixture on the menu, but way more customers took advantage of the deal than expected, triggering an $11 million loss. When I ordered shrimp at this New York City location today, I found the endless shrimp deal was not even being offered. Turns out the all-you-can-eat shrimp meal is only available on Mondays now, so it looks like I'm going to have to pay full price for all of this.
All you can eat is a wonderful thing in theory, but then you've got to be able to deliver on that. And evidently there's all sorts of challenges to eat more than you can eat. They're now having to go back and raise their prices to try to create a little more profitability, while they're also closing down locations. It's a perfect storm.
Definitely my favorite.
Mondays is just all about shrimp. Shrimp Mondays. But even then, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's nothing better to say. Don't take advantage of the all-you-can-eat shrimp deal. You see advertisements, we go, oh my God, oh my God, Bill, let's go to Red Lobster. Let's go eat some shrimp. Hi, everybody, I'm going to eat me a lot of shrimp. Oh God, I'm so full. Oh my God, I turned 500 pounds. This is the bottom line. I mean, if you want shrimp, go to H-E-B and go get yourself some shrimp. You want to eat shrimp buffet, eat some shrimp cocktail, eat some fried shrimp, popcorn shrimp. I mean, take a page from the guy who talked about shrimp. Shrimp is a food alive. You can broil it, you can bake it, broil it, bake it, saute it. There's a shrimp creole, fried shrimp, popcorn shrimp, shrimp gumbo, shrimp potatoes, steak and shrimp, shrimp stew, shrimp soup. It's all about the shrimp. Everybody loves shrimp. Let me tell you, I love shrimp. I love shrimp. Eating 50 raises is a flex. The internet ruins everything. Why didn't you just shut down the promotion for it became an $11 million loss? whole motion of the accounting team should be fired. You want to come up with, hey, the person who came up with the argument, Shrimp, get out of here. Get your asses out of my company now. Why not do buy one, get one free deals? Endless. All you need is insanity. If you're a customer, it's American. I mean, let me tell you some common sense here. Keep up to you closer. All you can eat is called a buffet. Buffet. B-U-F-F-E-T. What does that spell? Buffet. It's a buffet. Like Golden Corral. Golden Corral is all you can eat. That's a buffet. It's called a buffet for a reason. That's all you can freaking eat. It's called a buffet, for crying out loud. Buffet. Bu with a duh and a fe with a tina fe. Buffet. Get it? Buffet. 2-syllable word. Buffet. You don't know if you never heard of a buffet, you need to go to Golden Corral. I've been there. I love Golden Corral. I love their rolls, their macaroni and cheese, their meatloaf, their steak and the fish and their hush puppies, the cocktail sauce. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Go and find yourself a good buffet. Go to Butter Churn for all I care. It's called a buffet for a reason. It's all you can eat. It's called all you can eat for a reason. Buffets. Golden Corral. Burrs. Buffet restaurants. Called all you can eat buffets. For crying out loud. I mean, Friendlies. Shoney's. Golden Corral. Burrs. Find some buffet places in Corpus Christi. And even then you'll thank me later. Luby's. That's a buffet. I'm gonna get off my soapbox. We'll be back in a moment with our viral break. Actually, let's go over with our viral break right now. Yesterday we started looking at yesterday's broadcast. We looked into the camera stories about angry grandpa, but now we're gonna have there's more. What about we're gonna do the one with the CC video in it, but that's not gonna happen till it's not gonna happen till Monday. But alright, there it is. The story of the Battle of Trailward. Taylor.
So that's what we did. What's going on, you guys? Kid behind the camera here, and today is Thursday, which makes today Thursday night story time with Pickle Boy. And last week I told you guys to click like if you wanted to hear the time that Angry Grandpa went head to head with City Hall. So this is it, you guys. Strap in, get your popcorn, your milk duds, or if you don't eat any of that stuff and you're on a diet like I am, get some water with a cup of ice, because today is the story of Angry Grandpa versus North Charleston City Hall, or the state of South Carolina versus Angry Grandpa. This story begins at the end. Sorry, I really wanted to insert a Harry Potter reference. This story begins the final years that we spent in Trailwood Trailer Park. Back in the day when nobody knew what was actually happening. Nobody knew what was going on. Everybody in the trailer park started hearing rumors that Boeing was coming in and they were going to buy the trailer park, and people weren't sure which side of the trailer park they were going to buy, the left side by the gas station or the back side where Angry Grandpa lived, and nobody knew what was happening. Everybody would meet in the middle of the street in the middle of the night and just talk about it. Nobody knew what was happening. Dad always had a solution. I gotta tell you what, goddammit, my youngins will keep me from leaving this trailer park. I promise you that. And I always told Dad, like, Dad, no matter what happens, if they want to kick you out, they kicking you out. You don't know what the fuck. I regret the day you shot out my dick. Alright, I had to censor myself there. They were way too explicit for the story. The point was that nobody knew what was going to happen. Was Trailwood going to be gone, or was it not going to be gone? And the fact that they weren't telling anybody is criminal on its own. You have thousands of people living in a trailer park and they might lose it at the drop of a hat, and nobody has time to prepare. And that was a problem. We'd ask the question, hey, is Boeing going to buy the trailer park or not? They deny it every time. Of course not. We'd never sell Trailwood. The safety of our residents are the #1 priority. Yeah, we see how long that lasted. The fact of the matter was, Trailwood was gone. We lost our home. This was the only place that we knew. This was our home. This was all we had. For thousands of other people, this is all that they had. And for those people, they weren't in a position where they could just up and move. I was lucky and fortunate to have you guys and YouTube and a great job with Paul Heyman that I could get Grandpa out of Trailwood if I had to. But the other people weren't so lucky. There was a lot of people that ended up homeless after Trailwood closed. And Dad didn't want to see this happen. Dad wanted to try to save Trailwood before it was gone, before it was too late, because this is where he lived. We loved Trailwood, man. It didn't look like much, but it's what we had. It's what we knew. It was home. So Dad had a pretty good idea. Let's go after City Hall, Mike. That's gonna be what we got. Let's make a video. Let's put the phone number of that motherfucker up there. Let's send him 10,000 goddamn phone calls, and let's see if they still close Trailwood. And I didn't think it was a good idea. I was like, Dad, please don't piss off North Charleston, okay? I gotta pay taxes. Fuck your goddamn taxes, Mike. He's a goddamn human eyes. Are you goddamn stupid? You only think about your goddamn self. Dude, chill. We'll do the video. So we break out the camera and we do this video where we show the people of Trailwood, and we show what's going to happen if they close it, the people that are going to lose their homes, the wildlife, the elderly, the children. These were human lives, and a lot of them did not have the money to leave if they were forced to go. And the problem was, because we didn't own any property, or because we were just leasing the lots that we were staying on, they could give us 30 days to be out of there, and there was nothing we could do about it. Like we were nothing. And so Dad wanted to make that different. Dad wanted to make a change, and we made the video. We uploaded it, and guys, full disclosure, nobody expected the result that happened. None of us thought that we would get as many phone calls sent to City Hall as we did. You guys shut down the phone system. City Hall was like, nope. We are done taking phone calls because of Angry Grandpa, because nobody wanted Grandpa to lose their home. On the down low, you guys, that made Grandpa so proud. You have no freaking idea. He used that as a bragging chip for the rest of his life. You guys won't believe this shit. Mike, tell him about the time we shut down City Hall. So right off the bat, thank you guys so much for, giving him that sense of pleasure, that spark, that pride. Thank you guys. Unfortunately, it just wasn't enough. No matter how many people we had call City Hall or beg the Trulek family to not sell the property, it was over. It was gone. No matter how many meetings we went to and how many times Dad showed his ass, it wasn't enough. It didn't matter. Dad went to so many of those meetings and he showed his ass and screamed. It was like, don't take my home. And they didn't care. They took it. He had to go. And it broke my heart to watch. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that as bad as we fought, it just didn't matter because money mattered more than human lives. Bowen needed a place to park, so these kids had to lose the only home that they ever knew. So when somebody who works at Bowen right now goes to park, just remember that your parking space was once the backyard where two kids would throw the baseball and tell stories, have fun, shoot YouTube videos. As happy as it made Dad that you guys shut down City Hall and put extra security on the mayor, yeah, the mayor wasn't as happy. The mayor did not share that enthusiasm. Guys, I was sitting at my apartment, I was chilling, and the phone rings, and it's Dad. Mike, you gotta get here real goddamn fast. The FBI's here. Again? Didn't they just leave? Like, I'm sick of dealing with it at this point. Like, what the hell is going on? I get to Grandpa's house and he is not kidding. The FBI is there. He told me the Secret Service was there, which, look, I cannot verify, but he swears to God that they were. Police are there. Government employees are there. Things are getting crazy because Dad pissed off City Hall and they were not happy about it. They wanted to make sure that we weren't actually a danger to North Charleston. They already heard about the fake bomb prank. They already had a problem with the CC's Pizza video, and now they're pissed off at this. We were not welcome. We had to get the hell out of there. So that's what we did. We got the hell out of there. I found a trailer park in Somerville called Creekside, and I was like, Dad, this is where you're gonna go because Bridget's mom lives here. It's a great place, and there was no crazy people that live here. None at all. And that's the story. Grandpa fought the law and the law won. They beat him. But he went down fighting. He tried. He kicked. He screamed. He begged. He cried. He showed what would happen, and it just didn't matter in the end because in the long run, the government's going to do what they want. Nikki Haley used to brag about how not one family was hurt when Bowen came to Charleston, and all I could think about is, what about all those people that lost their homes? Our friends that we witnessed go homeless and there was nothing that we could do about it. Those people that we saw living under the bridge, they're not people, they're not families, they weren't hurt. They lost their homes so they could turn Bowen into a freaking parking lot. They removed lives, and guess what? They're still not even fully done making it into one. It's still not operating. Half of the trailer park isn't even being used. So what was the point? Grandpa lost his home. We couldn't afford a place to live. And if we didn't have YouTube or I didn't have Paul Heyman, we wouldn't have gotten out of there. We would have been screwed. And I just got to remember, there were so many families that weren't as fortunate, but there was a lot of people that lost everything. And that tore Grandpa apart every day, you guys. You have no idea. Sometimes he would just sit up at night and ask me what I think happened to the people of Trailwood. And I was like, Dad, I don't know. I don't know what happened. And that's the story, you guys. Grandpa fought North Charleston City Hall, the state of South Carolina versus angry Grandpa, and he lost. But he was so happy that you guys were there for him, that you guys had his back, that I couldn't even begin to describe it to you the way it made him feel. Thank you so much for everything that you did for him, everything that you still do. To say thank you, you guys, I told everybody that the Angry Never Dies t-shirt is available for another week. Well, I talked to Broadband TV, and I asked them if they could lower the price for that final week. So guys, the shirt is up to 25% off right now if you click the link below. The Angry Never Dies t-shirt. Get it before it's gone. It's at a heavy discount, you guys, as a way to say thank you. Right now, it still costs money to make, and they got to get theirs, but this discount comes out of my personal side, so I'm not getting anything for this shirt. I just want you to have it. So click the link below before it's gone, and thank you for everything that you continue to do for our family. Telling this story just reminds me of the final conversation me and Grandpa had in Trailwood together. The final meal that we had in Trailwood. We're sitting there at the table. His stuff is gone. I got him into Creekside. I moved him, and we're just sitting there. We're sitting there across from each other, and we're eating fried chicken. He got some KFC. And he looked at me, and he was like, you know, Mike, we lost. But we didn't let them knock us down. They knocked us down, we got back up, we kicked, we screamed, and we went clawing. And you know something? North Charleston City Hall is never going to forget my face again. And Dad, I think you're right. I don't think they forgot you. When Grandpa passed, so many people sent flowers that it was unbelievable. It was emotional. And we were looking, and one of them came from North Charleston City Hall. And they said, we'll never forget you. And that's the sentiment I take away from this. Grandpa lost, but he fought. He did let him knock him down. He got extra security on the mayor, and he did not give a fuck, you guys. He did not care. He was like, fuck the mayor, bro. This is my home. And he fought, and they never forgot him. And they said goodbye to him when he was gone. So North Charleston City Hall, thank you for that. It meant a lot. Dad, everything you tried to do for Trailwood meant a lot. And I love you for it. You know, speaking of father-son bonding, I want to tell a story next week about the greatest, worst day of our lives. Me and Angry Grandpa, the time we put together a desk and things went horribly wrong. I've touched on it on a vlog in the past, but not like this. Guys, smack the like button if you want to hear it. It is one of the craziest stories you're ever going to hear about Angry Grandpa trying to put something together. Smack the like button. Thanks for watching, you guys. I don't know how short it is. My apologies. Tomorrow's going to be a brand new vlog. Thanks for watching. I love you guys from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Like, subscribe, favorite. And that's it for story time.
And that's our story. That's the story. Now's the time to close the book. That's all visitors to Give Me a Break Saturday going to Sunday. We'll see you again for Give Me a Break Monday. For everyone here at YouTube, stop bullying, speak up, concentration, not strength, no jaywalking. And have a good night.